So let's create a new robot world, and then that's called, for example, part 2. We're going to add a rectangle arena and so on. Next, finish. So in here, in the first one, we created our own robot. Now, what if we want to use a robot that's already existing here? So let's say I want to add an epoch. It's called an epoch robot. And then I add it. Okay. Sorry, wait. Yeah, you see now when I reset, the robot isn't there anymore. That's because I did not save. So that's the importance of saving. If you have so many things added and you just hit the reset button without saving, all your work is gone. So I'm not sure if there's an undo button, but let's not go into like a risky situation. So now after we added, just save. This epoch, it comes with a controller already. So over here, that's why it was moving. Like it did not just move on its own like that, because it already has a controller done. And if you can edit it, it's written in C and so on. And here's the code that was going on. Now we don't want it to be in C. We want to add it, another controller. So let's make a new controller. And let's make it in Python. And let's call it part 2. And next, or part 2 robot, I don't know. Next, finish. And then we select, where is that? Part 2. This one. Okay, so this robot has some things that we need to add. We go to the children. Where's the children? Oh, not children, sorry. In epoch, we have something called turret and ground sensor slot. So in the ground, let's add a pen. So it's going to trace wherever we're moving. And then we're going to add a turret slot. In the turret slot, we're going to add a couple things. A distance sensor. So distance. And then add. Actually, in this case, we don't need to get distance sensor because the epoch already has distance sensors in it implemented. I think that's all we need to add. If I save this and run, as you can see, the robot is moving and it should detect something and go back and rotate. Okay. So we learned that we can do our own robot or we can add things to this robot. Yeah, okay. Let me add some obstacles. Oh, the reason why the pen is not working is because of the floor size I mentioned. So now I think if I change the floor size, if I make this like 4, and this 8, and then save, and then run. You can see now there's a pen. Yeah. So now it traces wherever we're going. Let's add an obstacle, and let's use the camera to detect what color this obstacle is. So if you go over here and we add, okay, just to test you, how do we add an obstacle? Like I just want to add a box, a shape. So what do we start? Solid, exactly. And then, yeah, so we start up, down. And then the children, we're gonna go shape. And then in shape, we're gonna set the geometry to, in this case, let's make it a box. Now let's just change the appearance, base nodes, PBR appearance. Let's give the base color green. And I think also emissive color in the camera, it detects, like in order for the camera to work, you need to set both the color and the emissive color as well. So if you set this to 1 as well. So now the object is green, as you can see here. Okay, now let's make it like add physics and add the what is the other thing that's the bounding box and everything. So we can go here and define this shape to be like a box. And as I mentioned, I don't need to go here in the bounding box and choose shape and box again. I can just use whatever the shape I've done here, which is box. So as you can see now, it has a white thing. I don't know if you can see it. This white outline wasn't there when we didn't put that thing. Okay. Also, if in case you get into this situation and you don't know how to align it back, you can go to this icon over here, and you can say, for example, top view, and it's gonna show you the top view. Okay. As you can see, the box is in the middle, so let's raise it a bit. In fact, let me keep it up and let me add physics and show you what happens. And then I save it. And then now it should, you see, it should drop because I added physics. Sorry? The box next to like where the robots. Oh, yeah, so you want it to be detected, yeah? Yeah, sure, I'll show that now. But let me just align this box here. And other things we can do also, we can basically view optional rendering. As I mentioned before, we can add the coordinate system. We can add different things. Let's add, for example, the camera. So this is what the robot is going to see. Camera, we can add an external camera, but the camera is already in epoch. So when I add an epoch, the epoch already has a camera on it, and it has also some distance sensor on it. So now I added the box, and if I move this robot this side, and then I save this, and then I run. As you can see in the bottom, it says detected color green. Now when it moves away, okay, so now it's not detecting any green because in the camera there's no green color or anything. Now if I move this object, for example, around, as you can see, it detects the green. Let me just take a few minutes just to explain the code, or do you want to explore it on your own, and should I do the other? Okay. Okay, so here, same thing with the left-right motor. We're setting the velocity initially to 0. That's also initialization, doesn't have to be there. Now, as I mentioned on the epoch, it has sensors already. So if I even go to view, optional rendering, and then view the, there's something called distance sensor. Or 1 second, distance sensor rays. You can see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And there's even one on top, but that's not used. So these 8 ones, I'm going to access them from here. So I'm going to have a for loop to run like 8 times. And each time I'm going to get the device PS or PS and then the number of that the sensor. So basically, I'm initializing all the 8 distance sensors and then enabling them and so on. This is just the camera code to set up the camera. This is to set up the pen, and I'm making it right. So I'm making it true. If I make this false, it's not going to write. And these are like some parameters. So I'm making it forward speed, rotation speed, and obstacle threshold. So obstacle threshold means, for example, I am I don't know what unit this is, but let's say I'm 100 units away from like the board. Then I'll detect the obstacle, I'll move back and then rotate and then do my other things. So this is my my detect obstacle. So if I get a value that is greater than this the threshold that we've set, which is 100, then it's going to detect print and then basically implement some obstacle avoidance. This is just to move forward, to move backward. As you can see, to move forward, I just need both of them to be the same speed. To move backward, I need both of them to be the same speed, but with a negative sign. To rotate, I just need one of them to be positive, the other one to be negative, so it goes like this. Even if I make one of them positive, the other 0, it will rotate, but it will rotate slower, and it might rotate on a different axis. That I'll have to double check. It depends on the shape of the robot and everything. And this is just to stop the motors. I'm making them both zeros. Now, when it comes to detect colors, there's different ways to do this. What I did is, as you can see, we have a camera. This camera, it has pixels. Okay, so it will detect each pixel, and in each pixel, I'm gonna compare it with a target color. So if this pixel, for example, is red, then it's gonna print red. If it's green, it's gonna print green. And if it's yellow, it's gonna print yellow, and so on. So over here in each pixel, I'm getting the red value from the camera, the green value from the camera, and the blue value from the camera. And then I'm gonna go for each color. For example, let's say I'm detecting red. So if I detected red, then it's gonna be 255 minus the target color, which is gonna be 255 minus 0 is gonna be 255, sorry, minus 255 is gonna be 0. So let's say my R, which is my camera says I'm detecting 255, 0, and 0. And my target for red is, and like the target that I defined is 255, 255, 0, 0. Okay, so what will happen is this will subtract, so I'll get a 0, this will subtract a 0, this will subtract a 0. Now, if all of these values are less than a threshold, and this threshold that I mentioned is mentioned somewhere. Where did I set this threshold? Here. I set it as 50. So if the difference is less than 50 for all of them, then I'm going to say I detected a red. Okay. So let's say this one was 255. I detected, for example, red and green, or red and blue. So this would be 255. Now, are all of them less than the threshold? No. So it will not print, and so on. This is basically the basic algorithm for this. And then here, as I mentioned, the controller runs, so it's going to run this. And once we go inside here, this is basically like a while true. And then it's going to move forward. If I detect an obstacle, then I'm going to do the following. I'm going to stop writing with the pen. This is also implementation-wise. I'm going to move backward, wait for 200 milliseconds. And then I'm going to stop the motors, rotate clockwise, and then again wait, and then stop the motors, wait, and then pen, write with the pen, and so on.